Right, welcome to Rambling Achieved. Today we're going to be doing a reaction almost to the Game Awards, the announcement of the nominees and stuff like that, and giving our thoughts on what we felt were the biggest snubs. Which I want to kick that off. Obviously, thank you for joining me, Brandon. We're just
Thank
going
you
to
for having
roll
me,
straight
man.
into it. Um, I think I'll give them credit. I don't think there were particularly that many like big snubs this year. I think I saw a lot of people getting upset with certain stuff. I think they did a fairly good job of nominees. I have issues with, obviously, that's why we're picking out lists. We obviously have things that we feel like were overlooked. The biggest problem I had was the fact that Expedition 33 was shown into the indie category. I think that's a little bit of like a stretch mark.
hmm
Um, and yeah, because it's got a little bit too meat on its bones to really be considered. The whole point of indie is meant to shed light on stuff like I don't know, blueprints and stuff like that, where it's very small and doesn't really branch out. Whereas Expedition 33 it's almost AAA in some areas and stuff like that. Like it's crazy good.
Well, and I guess that's the thing of like how do you even fix that fucking problem? That's my biggest question of like,
Hmm.
do you just do it as a budget thing? Can you only, it's like if your game was more than this amount, you are no longer qualified. It's like I have no idea
That
what the solution is.
that would solve it for sure, but it's the type of thing of like what like I don't think they're going to be. There's not going to be all that many companies that are going to be willing to share their financials and stuff. There's like
Exactly.
it's so tight-lipped nowadays and stuff. Um, yeah, it's it's the thing of like we also obviously got to keep in mind it's all fun for the most part and
Right.
just to
Yeah.
celebrate games. But that was like the biggest like eyebrow raiser where I was like, oh okay, sure. Um, and obviously tip of the hat as well to the Megabonk guy for standing on what that person believes. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I don't know who the developer is. I don't know if he has like
I don't even.
any public um, image. Is the word I'm guessing I'm looking for. But
Yeah,
he
that's
said that he had worked on indie games previously, and he felt that it was a little bit disingenuous to say that it's a debut indie title, which
mhm.
can be viewed from two different avenues. Obviously, it's his new studio, or so it could we should definitely be able to qualify under one viewpoint, and then the other viewpoint is obviously yeah, technically it's not his first indie project. So, but shout out to him. It's free publicity at the end of the day. Makes him look very good as well. Very smart.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, dude, it's like you said, it's supposed to be a fun, silly little thing. And we're all just there to watch the announcements. Like, I know that that sounds incredibly dismissive or incredibly, I don't, it's just the truth. Unfortunately, we're all there for the announcements and awards just happen to be the name of the show. So, uh, I would like a better actual focus of the awards, but at the same time, like I if I'm being completely real, I just don't really care. Like whatever they do with the awards, have at it. I think it's fun to talk about it with the community. That's why I like the discussion is like, "Oh, what did you think?" And I like seeing people get passionate about the things they like personally.
Mm.
But a collective of like not to be rude, but a collective of maybe some slightly outdated old school media models that are no longer the tastemakers, that are no longer like to not have big key podcasts in the gaming sphere who play the most amount of games. And, like a Last Stand Media where they have Bradley Ellis on there and Mr. Matty on there and Cog and these people who play Gene Park is in there. Like, why would you not have a collection of people like that who play by far more games than 99% of the outlets that are available who have media brands that are in and I'm saying this like I don't want this to be true, but it's just true is that it's a sinking ship in terms of mainstream games media, and fewer people are even full-time contract like full-time workers
Oh yeah.
for these jobs, and they're hiring more contractors. So it's like, are they getting the contractors to come back in to vote for the games that they reviewed for the site? Of course not.
No, and that is obviously it ties into the Game Awards because of who vote and stuff like that. But it is kind of
Hmm.
worrying how a lot of the big names that we knew that were tied to a lot of these outlets obviously broke off and started their own stuff for that very reason. Is that it felt probably like anytime they put out a review and stuff like that, even if they wrote it really well, you just have that bad stigma of, say, an IGN as an example of just there's so many people that just don't take what they say seriously and stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
I can't remember who it was. There was somebody who reviewed Dispatch or something and gave it like a fairly low review score. Um, I think it was the 6 out of 10 outlet,
Oh, really?
and it was something along the lines of like, I don't know if it's going to pay off. Basically, reviewing the first episode, giving it a 6 out of 10, and then obviously it got universal acclaim. And then when they went and like hunted that person down to like ask him like, "What the hell is going through your head?" He's like, "Yeah, I actually end up really enjoying it, but like I can't go back and like redo it." And it's just like, you, Jesus
Jesus.
Christ. It's that kind
Dude.
of mentality of just, yeah, it's just weird. It's in a very weird space, the gaming journalism outlet. Just so
Yeah.
many contractors, so therefore there's no, because when you have a full-time employee, you obviously you're familiar with them, you get familiar with them, you know what their tastes are and stuff like that. But when somebody's just tagging in and out constantly, like most of this industry is, there's a reason that the review scores fluctuate, or they just play it safe a lot of the time. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's the thing as well where like you can't if you want to have this thing as a legit award show, then it has to be in January or February.
Oh yeah.
Like you you can't do because when you see because that I guess we can go ahead and get into it, but Sonic and Twisted Metal being snubbed here, Sonic specifically for Sonic 3 for best adaptation. It's like, dude, Until Dawn over Sonic 3 is crazy. Until Dawn over Twisted Metal, like that's crazy work. And then Fallout's coming out in December, the TV show. So
Yeah,
it's
mid, isn't it? So it loses the ability to be voted on. It's just bizarre because there's so many of them. Like we had the pullover from last year of Indiana Jones. Like yeah, it got a PlayStation release, so it's not as like difficult to swallow per se. But it's just that thing of like hosting them in early December. I get why he does it
of course.
from the financial point of view and stuff like that. But like you said, if you're trying to genuinely make yourself a proper award show, how are you not gonna? And it's obviously yearly based. It's for the entire year. How are you gonna leave out basically all of December? Is what it feels like because the cutoff as well is like mid-November, is it not? Early November
Like
for
early November,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's 2 months then of cutoff. That's not even that's not even 1 month. It's 2 months of cutoff, and then they'll just be like, well, they can go into the next year's pool, and it's just like that feels really stupid. And for
And
a lack of a better term, it's just really, really stupid.
and like why do we have best adaptation at all? Who gives a fuck? I don't know. I guess sure, whatever. It's you do have enough adaptations because it's like you'll see certain categories where there's not even enough games in the genre for you to have the all those categories. So
It's what it was
I,
last year, right? With the better best adaptation, like everybody could predict what was on there because there was basically anything that was worth talking about made that list.
mhm.
Everything else was just like terrible, so it wouldn't be there.
Right.
And it's just
Yeah.
like,
But once again, like you said earlier, at the end of the day, it's a big advertisement spectacle that is not in any way, shape, or form based in anything other than ad dollars and other than, hey, let's get in here, show off Exodus, show off some cool games that we're going to get hyped for, and then get some HoYoverse ads to pay the bills and wait till next year. It's like, listen, I know that I'm probably more responsible for this than most in terms of the Game Awards hype because I that's one of the only things that ever caught on the channel. Like when I was doing Easygoing Gaming back in the day, the first time I ever predicted the Game Awards, I think that was like the first video I ever had that did over 1,000 views, if I'm not mistaken. And so I was like, ooh. And so I've just did it ever since, over and over and over and over and over to the point of like, yeah, probably a bit too much, but
You had
it
interest
works.
in it
People like it.
if it wasn't being reported on though, right? Still, it's still something that you tuned into, or did you not?
Oh no, yeah. I've watched every
Mm.
single E3. I've watched every single like back in the day I watched all the Spike Video Game Award shows. I watched since 2014 onward. I tune into. I love that
So
because that's why
that's why I wanted
because
to make sure
people
to give you the credit. So it's not like I milked it for what it's worth. No, you're a genuine fan of this type of stuff. And the same with me.
well,
I love the Game Awards. I think you said you tune in more so for the announcements. I do actually. I like just seeing what is given the awards. I don't really care who wins it. I'm not like, for instance, there's loads of people that think like obviously Expedition 33 is going to win many awards. Even if so, by some crazy thing, if it won nothing, it wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't keep me up at night. It's the type of thing of like, well, it's just interesting to see what comes out.
see, I would be more into that if they presented it like ESPN does with sports shows, where it's like, okay, you give out the award and then you cut to a panel and it's like Skill Up and Mortismal and like some
Ooh.
different people who were like talking like "Ah, that's actually a shocker right there, Tim." And it's like I can't believe that with the slim production budget and I actually think that game had too many bugs to really warrant that like just something that's an
You
interesting
don't
back and
like the
forth.
puppets? You don't like the.
See, that's where I'll actually this is something that is a hot take that nobody's going to agree with me on. I don't care about the music. I don't care about the puppets. I don't care. Like, if it was just fucking announcements and awards and no personality whatsoever, other than like, I, I love to hear from developers. I, but do I need to hear Keeley ever say anything again in my life? Like, and I'm a Keeley guy. I liked Keeley back in the day from G4TV.com. A fan of Keeley. Have always been a fan of Keeley. But like, I don't need to hear Keeley talk about anything on that award show. He's not additive at all to my watching experience.
Yeah, yeah, I'd probably relatively agree with that.
If Keeley had a podcast, I would tune in weekly. Like
Mm.
I'd be so down to hear what Keeley's like actual thoughts are, but in that space, you are going to bootlick the shit out of these people because they're coming on to enhance your show that is hundreds of millions of views and like it's not going to be a spot for pushback. It's not going to be a spot for interesting conversation.
Mm.
It's going to be just a, you know, shit sniffing fest. So, and like it's what it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. You got to do business, but I don't care to hear you talk, you know, praise some game that you previewed that nobody else has played. Like I don't care.
Yeah, it just needs a little bit of refinement, in my opinion. Little bit of tweaking here and there, which I don't know. Maybe this year will be the best yet, because it's been kind of like an up and down, up and down, up and down thing. Like I think they're getting better overall each year,
The
but
announcements are.
the pacing sometimes lacks. Um, I don't know if like were you saying with the hot take about the stuff. it's gotten a little weird by some of like the celebrity cameos because some of them just don't have any fucking clue what games are. What was it like last year? Al Pacino came on,
Oh, Al Pacino's
and it
the
was like,
goat.
what
That was
the actual?
hilarious.
Like, I'm sorry, like, why is he? He looks so bewildered and lost. He's like, oh, is this not the Oscars?
Oh
Okay,
man, that shit
you
was
guys don't play
hilarious.
Mario anymore. It's just yeah, it's just weird. But time to get on to the old voting, our voting, where our voice matters. We're going to be doing five apiece, and just yeah, like I said at the very beginning, I don't think there's any like major snubs, things that are like groundbreaking and earth shattering, but there's definitely things that were overlooked. So, did you want to kick it off, or did you want me to?
I have one very like if you're saying you don't have anything on your list that you feel very strongly about, I do have one that I feel extremely passionate about.
Yeah, yeah. You take it away.
South of Midnight for best music. It should have been awarded
Oh,
for best music. You can argue art direction, you can argue whatever, but like games for impact, I dude, that's another category that you can just throw in the fucking bin. Who cares? That is such it feels like such a like a pat on the back, good job kid, compensation trophy, participation trophy. It should have been nominated for best music. It has one of the greatest soundtracks, one of the only I'm not a music guy. That's how I know it has great music. It's because I remember it. I don't remember any video game music ever. I don't remember music ever, period, unless it's like been burned into my head and or just, I listen to like if I hear something come on the radio and I'm like, I really dig this. And then I'll put it into my playlist and I'll just run it back and back and back and back. And then memorize it, of course. But like I don't do that with video game music. I don't have any playlists for video game music. It's in one ear and out the other. And I know that that's a critical flaw of my, criticism or my ability to analyze games is like I always overlook music and I want to get better about it. But this is one of those games where the music truly just left a lasting impact on me to the point where I remember in Jesus' name, like the whole, I can remember these songs because they're vocalized with lyrics that are representing the characters that they're talking about. And like, it's this epic score that feels like a big budget, you know, uh, kind of Disney movie or something.
yeah. It's one of the ones that I definitely regret not getting around to this year, and I wonder if that's perhaps why it didn't get nominated.
Oh yeah.
I think it's
Nobody
the
played it.
it's the unfortunate thing. There's tons of people that say that there's bias against Xbox. I don't think that's the case at all.
You don't?
I don't think it's that where they're turning around and going, he's licking like Sony's boots and stuff when it gets
Oh
to that
no.
level of stuff. It's the type of thing of like there's not bias against them. It's just their platform doesn't compete, so therefore less people play the games. It's as simple as that. So if less people play them, less people review them, and less people have interest in them. It's just pretty simple to me.
Actually, I have a hot take on that. I kind of disagree with the idea that there's not bias against Xbox. I do think there is. I think that I I think I could prove that almost statistically and just by my own metrics for like my content. That if I talk
Oh yeah,
negatively about
no,
Xbox,
from viewers and stuff like that. If that's what you're
no,
talking about.
but here's the trickle down of like, okay, so I think this is conspiracy 101, but I think it does begin with the media, or it begins with the audience. For whatever reason, that is clickable, talking negatively about Xbox. And once again, to your point, they definitely don't help their case a lot of the time. It makes it very easy to talk negatively about it. But however, the disproportionate rate for views that you get for talking negatively about Xbox is kind of like AEW, the wrestling company. If you talk negatively about AEW, you get crazy clicks and views on it. And it's like that doesn't line up with the fact that there are only 30 million Xbox users, only 600,000 weekly viewers of AEW. Like, why does it get such traction in terms of viewership? And I guess maybe that's the reason because it's like it is not the most successful thing. And so it's easy to kick the second place, third place, whatever. And it's like, that sucks that
Yeah.
that happens that way. But I'll tell you, God's honest truth is like I see some of the views I get for the negative Xbox stuff, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I get why people double down on it. Like I won't double down on it. I refuse to do
Yeah.
that because I think that that's you're losing your soul for the sake of ad revenue. But like I can kind of understand it.
Yeah, because it stems as well from there are so few people who will critique something that they like and love. Um, so if they're on PlayStation and stuff like that, they don't think about critiquing and you know criticizing things that they get wrong because it's their platform, but they will direct that Nintendo happily and Xbox happily and stuff like that. I think yeah, there probably is to a percentage. Of course, there is a minor bias, but I don't think it's as wide as people project it to be. It's just what people also need to keep in mind is that I need to be very careful with my words. PlayStation make very Oscar baity games for the longest time with like The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and stuff like that. These things appeal to an award ceremony kind of thing. Xbox
Hmm.
never really like. You can love Halo, for instance. Even if Halo was still at its peak, it wouldn't be probably muscling its way into Game of the Year. It'd be best shooter, best multiplayer, and stuff like that. But it's not something where it's that in that kind of wheelhouse, and they because they just don't make games of that ilk. I can't think of the last game that they've made of that ilk
Well, and
under
see,
their own umbrella.
that's where the conversation can get a lot more interesting. Where when you see the list that people share around, where it's like Xbox hasn't had a game nominated since 2000 and whatever, like over 5 years, or I don't know the exact
They've
year count of.
well, according to a lot of people, they've never had a nomination for Game of the Year at all with the Game Awards.
Jesus.
Technically, they have, but it's the type of this is where like where do you draw the line? Because they technically owned Double Fine when Psychonauts was nominated. Um,
So
so
that
you
counts.
can kind of, and this is the thing where people want to draw the line of like, well, it was already in development kind of thing, and it's like I get that, but like, so that's an out. If that's even eligible, that's like one in what 10 plus years.
Right.
It
Eh,
doesn't make a difference. Like don't you don't create art like your competitors do,
that's the truth.
and it
That's a
is
fact.
yeah. You
And
don't, and the things that you have created that could come close to that, like Hi-Fi Rush, is a very it feels very Nintendo-esque. That would fit really well at home on Nintendo, but it
mhm.
doesn't fit with your audience. So your what's the word? When you have your centric media that covers your games and stuff like that, they're not used to covering them games, so they don't care about them as much. So they
Right.
don't take off as much.
No.
Um, so yeah, it's just that unfortunate thing. They just don't compete in that wheelhouse. They make great games. That's the thing that annoys me is when people then turn that into they just don't make they do make great games. They just don't make games of them ilk that
Yeah.
would sweep awards and stuff like that
Well, yeah,
in that
it's
manner.
like I do think that that's kind of been their biggest problem is that they don't make they've they make very good games,
Hmm.
but they don't often make great games. And that has become I think at some point the like next year and it's always the next year thing. I know I'm aware. But I do think when you're talking about the potential of a Clockwork Revolution might be their first one. And if double or if Jesus Christ, Playground, if they can really nail Fable, that might be another one. And back to back in 1 year. That would be huge. And then Forza is going to be massive
See,
in Japan.
if they come out and they're like high 80s, pushing into 90s, and they still don't like get scooped up onto any nominations and stuff like that, then I'll begin to be like, something's up a little bit here.
But you got to crack 90s.
Yeah,
That would be my only thing. It's like no, it's hard to get in at a 80 anything.
yep.
I mean, you can, but it's rare.
Before years, but it depends obviously if it's a slow year and stuff like that. That's why I was saying like
Right.
high 80. If it's like 89 and stuff like that, it could easily hook its way in there if it's a weaker year for a lot of games. But they don't tend to really make games that go that high. Like they're it's
Hmm.
unfortunate. Um, I hope Fable does it. I hope Clockwork does it.
Gears E Day,
I don't think Gears it has a fucking chance of. I'm
probably
just
not.
really it's the type of thing when people were like hyping up Halo, and I was just like, I don't know, guys. It's kind of that ship's kind of sailed. You can't really hang on to something that was booming in 2005. Like, you're not Nintendo. You've not, as I've said this time and time again, I use the phrase, they've not weaponized it in that way. That's just, it isn't, it is not Mario. So,
Nor have you earned it. You know what I mean? Like you've squandered it.
no,
It's
yeah,
it's yeah.
they just, they sat on their laurels with Halo.
Mm.
Alrighty, so after dogging Xbox for them easy clicks, baby.
It is
Um,
easy. It's nice.
I'm gonna go with something I actually finished recently. So it's very, very fresh in my mind. I was kind of surprised that Tainted Grail didn't get nominated
Oh, good call for best RPG. It could
for
have easily
best
replaced Monster
RPG.
Hunter.
Yep. I was baffled. I'm sorry, I love Monster Hunter as a series. I think it's kind of a stretch to call it an RPG. Really? it's it's the thing of like the this is the thing where genres have begotten more and more muddied over time. I wouldn't personally consider that like an out and out RPG. Um, and like I said, Tainted Grail to me is a far superior RPG. Very shocked that it wasn't nominated in that category.
Yeah,
Um,
that is surprising because like I it almost felt like they were trying to they were struggling to find the fifth game and just threw Monster Hunter in there, or even if you want to say Avowed, like either one of those two I think are easy replacements. I mean, Tainted Grail was definitely busted at launch, but at the same time it's
so was Monster Hunter.
Avowed, yeah, Avowed and Monster Hunter were busted.
um, yeah, it's just that
Avowed less so, to be fair.
yeah, Avowed for me more so.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was many reviewers that had my experience because up until
Mhm.
the thing that I had, the game was flawless in what it was doing. Um, but yeah, just a big kind of disappointment as well because that would have been a really good spot for them to grab to kind of like get that little bit of extra exposure because it feels like it came out, it made a little bit of a splash for the people that you know knew of its existence and had followed its development and stuff like that, and maybe branched out a little bit. But this would have been really good because this is the whole thing of the Game Awards nominees as well. It's just free publicity for your game.
Yep.
It's just so this would have done really, really good because it's in a much, much better state now. So if that would have landed in and people been like, I don't know what Tainted Grail is, let's go look. Oh, that looks really cool. And then you see the waves of videos on YouTube of people turning around being like, it's very close to Oblivion and stuff like that. And they'd be, oh, I'd love to try that out. And it's just, yeah, a little bit disappointed that
Agreed.
Monster Hunter was there, but here we are.
Yeah, that's one I would definitely like to go back and finish that. I put about 10 hours into it. Was really, really enjoying it. But it was buggy as shit. I ran into a game-breaking bug.
Oh, that sucks.
But it is a dope, dope game. It's
It
kind of like how you feel about Avowed, where you can see what they're going for.
its opening act is really good. Its half of Act Two is really good. Kind of wobbles a little bit, and then has a really really terrible dungeon, and then the ending is phenomenal.
I feel like
So
it'll get a physical at some point. That's a big enough game to where I could see it getting a physical release. I'll definitely pick it up at that point. Hopefully they'll have like a solid, clean disc
I
build and
was
jump
gonna say
into it.
if they do choose to do that, given that they didn't print one at launch. Definitely make sure it has the most updated build, please.
Absolutely. All
All
right.
right, what's your
So
second one?
this, you could argue, could go ahead of South of Midnight for me in terms of my list of annoyances. Alex Jordan for his performance on The Altars, just voicing all of those different characters, all of those different voices that he's having to do for his different versions of himself with the different like personalities and their different quirks and their different just demeanor. Like he plays all of these different versions of himself communicating with himself. So he's having to remember his base version, his baseline demeanor for who he is as like the main character in the game, but all of the cloned versions of himself that he's having to voice as well. It's yeah, you gotta give some love to that. And that's a game where I didn't even really like the gameplay, like the sim based building management. Like I only played a few hours of it, but even in those few hours in the clips I've seen, I'm just like, dude, this is unbelievably hard. I That's crazy. Take out Charlie Cox, who, you know, did a 4 hour. I will say, I heard a really good argument about this for Charlie Cox. I think it was I think it was Chris Raygun from Sacred Symbols who said like it's almost more impressive to go in there, kind of phone it in, and
Mm,
like he almost comes across as more of a human than any other video game character or than most video game characters because he is just like it's a one take Jake. It's not trying to and then thy from the imperial reign. Like it's not. It's like just a dude, and it really is immersive. Like I taking myself back to
yeah.
he, like it
The,
is immersive to have him sound so natural.
I mean, it's not even just. They just did an excellent job as an entire cast. The amount of conversations that took place where it felt genuinely human. It didn't feel like because you get into the trappings of games a lot of the time where you're being expositioned at. There's no back
Yeah,
and forth and stuff like
right.
that, which is what they do. And that's what made it kind of like okay, this is clearly something special because they're bantering, but they it's not Marvel quipping and stuff. It was human and stuff like that. You have that very early scene where he has to announce the password, and they are just genuinely just fucking around. There's no other way. They're joking with each other, and then he does it, and then there's a follow up of like acknowledging that and being like, okay, you don't need to shout that loud and stuff. It comes off very human. Um, but yeah, the praise I want to give to Alex Jordan is the fact that I don't think have we ever had a game where that's been done of like that many characters and because you have like what I'm thinking of is Oblivion and stuff when that was criticized when they reused actors. So you'd have somebody talking to themselves who were themselves, like the way the game was distributing the voices and stuff like that. And that's a very it takes you out of the game. With this being wrapped into the narrative, but he's changing demeanors, right? With some of the personalities and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's almost like that isn't the same person. Because it would be very
exactly.
grating if it was me talking and then every time you're you have my voice and it's just that same just back and like that would be very uninteresting. And yeah, it's just that crazy thing of it kind of reminds me it's so close to being I'm drawing a whoever played Gandalf in Lord of the Rings when he was
Hmm.
sitting there in the Hobbit, sorry, because they weren't on screen. I believe is what they were talking about. He was just sitting there talking to himself a lot of the time, but he delivered the performance so perfectly, as if then the hobbits were around him and stuff like that, whereas they were just CGI'd in later on. So it's just that kind of like that shows the true level of quality of the actor to be able to perform by themselves and still deliver a performance as if it's with an entire grouping of casts. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, as well for this one, you can throw in obviously Aaron Paul from Dispatch. I think that that's just a matter of unfortunate circumstance where the full game wasn't out when they were voting. So they didn't want to award him because they don't know. Maybe the performance falls apart, which I get, but damn, man, at the same time, it's just,
Did you want
uh,
to throw that in as your third?
no, no, no.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep out. Well, no, no, no. There's something else I'd rather shout Dispatch out for in a second.
Okay. But yeah, that is yeah. I think Dispatch is one of the big titles that got shunned, unfortunately, with its release schedule being where it was. Um, yeah, kind of unfortunate.
Without a doubt.
Alrighty, my second one. I'm gonna go with. I, it's funny because you said about somebody else on Dispatch. I have two actors here, and they both did phenomenal jobs. I'm gonna go Luke Dale though. Luke Dale for KCD2. He didn't get nominated, right?
No, no.
Um, for best performance.
Yeah, that was you're talking about for
So Luke Dale, I believe, is Sahan's
huh.
Capon.
Yeah.
Um, KCD2. It's it's kind of crazy that he didn't. Even more so because I am a little bit late. You played this when it released.
Yep.
9 months ago. It says on the thing. Jesus Christ!
He had an
It's just
epic
been a
performance.
while. Um, they really stepped it up because you didn't play the first game all the way through, right? I think you played a little bit of it, tiny bit.
Yeah, I didn't play much of the first game at all.
Yeah, they had very good performances, but dude, that opening like 2 hours in KCD2 is so cinematic, and the interaction that him and Henry have is really really damn good. I was kind of disappointed obviously when it opens up and becomes a game. And it's just like, okay, here you
Yeah.
go, open world, and it's just like, oh, I don't want this to end. This is so beautiful. Obviously it's going
Mm.
to pick up when things continue, but it's crazy, like they love working together. You can tell they absolutely adore each other's company because it's just brotherly love. A lot of the time they give each other shit, they give each other banter back and forth, and they just enjoy each other's company. It's so human. Again, kind of linking back to Expedition 33 of the same praises. That is, it helps with immersion and making you care for a game when you like the characters and they feel human instead of
Well,
just robotic and running through the
yeah,
motions.
and you got to give a lot of praise there to the direction as well, man, with Daniel Vara and the crew over there at Warhorse wanting the actors to actually be in person with one another in real time to do all their acting in studio or a lot of their acting in studio to play off of each other's like character and stuff.
Did you see in the very early in the game they have that swimming part? Did you see the motion capture that they did for that? They actually had them leaning on chairs and mimicking swimming side by side to each other in the studio.
That is
And
hilarious. I didn't see
yeah,
that.
and that's why he's doing like the doggy paddle.
That is
Oh,
so funny,
and
dude.
it's just like that's what I mean. They just love each other's company, and it's just
Yeah.
it's so great. Um, can't wait to play more of that and see what shenanigans they get up to because they're so well written characters as well, even from the first game, and they've just carried that torch all the way through.
Yeah, and wait until you get to what's it, Tom I forget the Tom McKay or
Tom
the
McKay.
dude who voices Henry.
Mm.
Wait until some of his later, it's like crazy the range that he shows later in that game. It's wild. It's such a Yeah, I don't want to say anything that's even alluding to spoilers, but he acts his ass off.
Mm.
All right, on the board, on the board. Let's go dispatch for best art direction. I think that it's kind of crazy that it even took this long to find the formula for the adventure game genre. You know, which you saw Detroit Become Human, try photorealism. You saw it was everybody was trying to figure out what was next after the Telltale formula got old, the stilted animation, the very stiff, just it got rough towards the end of Telltale's run. That animation quality and that just the character design, it looked bad.
Performance as
And
well on for the 360 versions. It just chugged.
yeah,
It was weird.
yeah. And so when you're dealing with those technicalities and issues of just being a bit annoyed by what is supposed to be a fairly like a visually compelling an emotional like you're supposed to connect with the characters, it's all character centric, so a huge part of connecting with characters is like the visual language that the game or the show or whatever is trying to present to you. And whenever the animation quality is this strong, it's just so much easier to get into the story, right? Like that's why you spend so much money on animators, and that's why the top tier animators are paid really fucking well. And so, you get this, but it's also the branch between something like a Telltale and a Detroit Become Human, where I think that this style of animation, while expensive, no doubt, it's not photorealistic.
No.
Detroit Become Human, $100 million. Like you can get this done. I think this will be a template in the same way that Expedition 33, that combat style and that like having more realistic characters in JRPGs, and like there's going to be a lot of influence passed down from Expedition 33 in 10 years that you're going to see replicated in other games. You're going to see the same thing with the adventure game genre where it's like, "Oh dude, why don't we do an animated movie but allow you to make choices?" It's like, "Cool. Awesome. Give you some characters you like and you're off to the races." Yeah, it should definitely be in best art direction in my opinion.
I'm gonna push that even further. I think with because we've said this, I know I've said this time and time again, and you have as well. Like budgets have ballooned. I don't even think this will be something that's just tied to them style of games. Like you want to cut corners in production costs. What better way to do it than this
Hmm.
for smaller style games, especially? Um, yeah, because it's not. It looks appealing as well. I think it doesn't feel like they've cut corners. It doesn't feel like it's low budget and stuff like that, or it looks really appealing because it's just mimicking all of everybody's favorite cartoons from their childhood. It feels like just
Yeah.
ramped up even more. So yeah.
And I mean, in terms of like set design and in terms of memorable locales, and like that, you're going to remember a lot of these spots in 5 years of like, oh, yeah, I remember going into that bar in that game. Oh, yeah, I remember sitting off and looking at the Hollywood sign. And, you're going to remember these character designs, very memorable. You'll see cosplay, outfits of a hot chick as Invisigal or Blonde Blazer and getting hundreds of thousands of likes and stuff on their Twitters and building a career based on a viral picture of them as Blonde Blazer. Like and I'm not saying that as like like that's dope. How many times did we see that take off for Overwatch or, where it
And yeah,
becomes,
and Baldur's Gate and stuff like they
yeah.
sex sells, man. The cosplayers do wonders for pushing your game that
Well,
extra mile.
and not even just that, like absolutely, that's so true. But having attractive characters is you're never going to go wrong there. But beyond that, even the dudes and even the
Mm-hmm.
like goofy characters, like it's just memorable. Moist Critical's character, like very memorable design, very memorable, just personality. The Royd, the big dude, the big Samoan dude. Like yeah, these are characters that you are going to see a like you'll see them in your mind as you're thinking about, oh, well, what are some of my favorite games? Like that, when
Mm-hmm.
you think back to Jack's design for Mass Effect 2 and you think back to Miranda's design or you think back to Tally or whoever, like some of your favorite characters from your favorite games. Like these are that it's shit that will stick with you, and
Yeah,
a key part of
iconicness.
that is design. Yep,
It's iconicness.
for
It's
sure.
stuff that's just gonna, like you said, you can just you can't envision every cat, but like you say Geralt, and you just immediately Witcher Free style,
Hmm.
boom, just it's stuck with you. It's drilled into your head, and that's where a lot of these characters are going to be for a lot of people. 100% agree. Alrighty, my third one. I'm worried that I've made a mistake, and that something is. I'll say it, and you'll be like, it has been nominated. Hopefully, I've not made a mistake, but Kronos, the New Dawn, dude, audio design or whatever that category is. How was that not? How was that not on there?
It's kind of crazy just thinking about how there's a best fighting game category, but there's not a best horror game category. It's like, dude, there's like 300 good
Oh,
horror games that come out every year,
oh
and there's
boy.
two fighting games.
It's even funnier because most of them fighting games, right, were like remasters.
Yeah.
So you're
One of
scraping
them
the bottom of the barrel. Like, what are you doing?
one of them is a game where the online functionality is damn near broken, and like it's just a good documentary of old games. It's like which I still think it probably deserves to be nominated compared to compared to the competition, but shit, man.
Yeah, it is weird that horror's been completely overlooked. That
Silent
is
Hill
weird.
F,
Yeah, Silent Hill F.
Chronos, Dying Like the Beast.
Yep.
You just had that Total Chaos game that came out. I played a couple hours of it. It was really good.
Yeah, and the amount of indie, because the indie space heavily carries horror more so than the
Right?
AAA. Like they've done it for several years. Like it's kind of kicking on a little bit more now. You obviously seeing stuff like Chronos and stuff come out, but that you could easily make a category filled with them. And yeah, like I said, its sound design is incredible. The
Yes.
music and stuff like that, just everything about it. That would like because that's the one thing that can, well, not the one thing, one of the many things that can take you out of a horror game when you're in it and trying to get immersed is that if it doesn't feel impactful, what's happening and stuff like that, when it's an action horror game, if you shoot something and it just there's no impact there, it's just like it's kind of lame. It's like when you
Yeah.
my biggest one of my biggest critiques for stuff like Skyrim and stuff like that. There's no feedback to the sword hitting and stuff like that. So it's the same with horror games. If I shot that monster and it doesn't feel like I shot that monster, big boo, thumbs down. But that's not what Kronos does. And just even just the environment, it's so atmospheric. And
So creaky and
yeah,
the
everything.
groans.
It's the perfect blend of it has jump scares, but
Oh yeah.
it earns them. You go through environments and you're like, something's gonna happen, and then it doesn't. And that's like the perfect way of doing it. Like if you can predict that it's gonna happen and it does that every single time, it's lame because it's not a jump scare. It builds that suspense up and earns that right to finally kick the trash bin and make you shit yourself.
Well, and especially with just as challenging as it is, it's like you do get jumpy because you're like, oh, these things can kill me in like two, three hits. It's yeah.
Oh boy, I had my ass handed to me in that, like, you get into that little enclosed space very early on, and whatever that shop was, and I was like, oh, I'm made of paper. And
Dude.
it was like a big realization thing of like, okay, I can't go like I can't play this like Dead Space.
Mm-mm.
It looks like Dead Space, but you can't play this like Dead Space. And it's like, man, fuck you, Bloober. You baited me. I actually really like the way the game plays, though. It's one of the most strategic horror games,
Mhm.
which is a very weird thing to say in a third person shooter. It's very strategic. Like everything is about your placement of your movement and where you are, more so than what shots you can land. It's crazy.
I am happy to see you include that because I love that game. Um, all right, my fourth selection. This is gonna be my blasphemy pick, but I feel it in my soul, so I'm gonna say it with my voice. Split Fiction over Death Stranding 2 for Game of the Year. I I just don't. I only played whatever 8, 10 hours of Death Stranding 2, so I understand. I probably don't get it like people who sunk 50, 60 hours into it and got the full experience. But man, Split Fiction just really, really hit on a fun factor level, man. I was just having so much fun playing that game. And I I'm not even someone who says that it's the game awards. It's not the movie awards. It's not the story awards. It's like I don't necessarily like games can tell stories. It's good for games to tell stories. I don't think everything has to be about just moment to moment gameplay and the dopamine hits and the adrenaline filled. Like games are a lot of things. That's what makes games so special is that it's not, a very defined and very specific medium. Games are a ton of different things all wrapped into one. And like you're playing big budget movies and sometimes you're playing your favorite sport on the screen. Sometimes you're playing like it's you're literally playing at times a actual movie like Dispatch. You're actually just participating in the events of a movie and choosing like games are so many different things. But at the end of the day, I do kind of like it's hard to get away from the fact that that's just one of the best playing games I've ever played in my life. And I don't think it was snubbed per se for like overall. Like I understand the overall sentiment, but in terms of personal picks, like if I'm personally looking at the list of what I would consider the biggest snubs, Split Fiction not being nominated for Game of the Year. I'm like, damn, how is that even possible?
Um, when was It Takes Two? 2018, wasn't it?
2021.
2012. Jesus Christ, I thought it was all much further back. Okay, damn. Um, because the only thing I can really like, obviously, the competition's tough this year. This
Oh
isn't like
yeah.
an easy year to get into, but like it also doesn't help when you have these. You have to have two players. So a lot of
Oh
reviewers are
yeah.
solo people, so therefore it's probably very difficult to tie down some random person that you that you know and be like sit and play because it wasn't a short game. It wasn't
No, it
extremely
is
long
not.
either, but it was like what it took us.
15 hours.
Yeah, it was like 3 4 hour 5 hour sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like we had to choose to do what we did. Of we did that in a very short period of time. So it was like over a 3 or 4 day period to get that
And
done.
it's not a thrill to do that either. Like,
No,
uh,
because
you
when you're
know,
having to push through it in that thing, it does minorly impact it.
yep.
Um, because you play so many games and it's just like yeah, you put in like a couple of hours and stuff like that. But because they're single player, you don't feel there's no pressure to putting it down and then maybe playing because you could play 5 hours a night of something, but choose to split it across a couple games and stuff like that. But when it's designed in that sense, it's almost an obligation that you have to lock in because it's like you got to
Yes.
make the most of that time because it's so difficult to align time with somebody unless you're couch co-oping it.
And even then, it's like
Mm.
that's hard to find the time. I mean, you have different work schedules, you have different life. Like it's yeah, dude. I think their next game going for single player and multiplayer, I really think that's the correct move. So, because it's not like you don't it's a total different level of comfortability as well. Like if I'm kicked back on the couch just playing a game, I'm snuggled up with my blanket, I'm slouching like a maniac. It's like that's so comforting to me. I can sit there for 5, 6 hours straight and not even I look down at the clock, I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 in the morning. That's not the same experience that you get when you're playing something multiplayer and you're like trying to be conversational and you're trying to be present for that person. Like you get what I'm saying? Like if you're sitting there on the couch, it doesn't even
Oh
matter if
yeah,
you're in your own environment with your wife or your kid. It's like there's an active element of playing the game, but also an active social element that is it's just a different thing.
yeah, and it's good that they've listened to the feedback of that because there were so many people that have called for the option of single player, and that's the type of thing
Absolutely.
of when they zoned in on this with A Way Out, It Takes Two, and now this. Like that's that free. It's a free punch back to back of forcing multiplayer. That kind of unique take is beginning to fade, and it's showing its flaws as they're going down. It's no longer like that new thing. They've done it a bunch of times. Probably best to mix it up a little bit and give
Definitely.
people a lot more options. Because if they were to just stubbornly dig their heels, and it's dangerous to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Alrighty, my fourth pick. I have so many. I have a list of 10. Um,
Yeah, I got two that I'm torn between for my last one as well.
I'm gonna give love to a category um that we don't really see get talked about at all, and that's the games for impact thing. I don't know how I'm gonna write this. Inclusion of
Woke.
women's football.
DEI.
Yep.
Loon's woke.
What was it called? Games for impact. Right. Let's kick this off. Pun intended. Football. Hey.
Brilliant.
Right. The game itself is just in a dire state. And this is Football Manager 26. They took the year off last year and cancelled FM 25. I just they bit off way more than they can chew. But the one thing that I can't fault them for is being very, very ambitious. New engine, new stuff that comes with that, so animations, it looks better and stuff like that. Making sure that all of the licenses that they can possibly acquire, they acquired. But also, even cooler than that is the women's sport of football is growing rapidly.
Mm.
It's I can't pull like some fact out of my ass, but I know like the women's World Cup was really heavily watched. It was like one of the most watched sporting events in recent memory, or is the Euros? It was one of the two. It was either their World Cup or their Euros. So there is a growing interest in this, and also just it's meant to be, a football management game, but you're gonna leave out the women's side. It just seems weird. So it's great that they finally included that. I've not tried it, and this is going to be the pendulum swing the other way around. I personally, I like that it's included. I have zero interest in trying it out because I don't. The thing is like with this kind of thing, I don't know who any of the teams are. I don't know who the players are. Like when you're playing Football Manager, you're choosing the team that you support, or you're going to leagues that interest you, that you have knowledge over, and stuff like that. So it's not for me personally, but it's really really cool that they took that choice to and took that risk to include them and stuff like that. Um, they probably should have done it the following year, if I'm being honest. Like they've because everybody's using this as their stick to beat it with. Unfortunately, as the internet does, there's a lot of criticism. There's so much wrong with FM26, and unfortunately, that's getting like a big brunt of it. But really cool to see that they showed that some love.
Well, another thing, man, like I just bought NBA 2K26
Mm-hmm.
on a deep sale for Black Friday, and I was so damn surprised that like you still cannot do a career with the female basketball players. It's like you can, but you got to go through a whole different mode where it's not the same structure as the men's career mode. I'm like, that is crazy. That like, why is that not an option yet? That would be fun as hell. Like because I picked up a bunch of sports games that were all super cheap for Black Friday. I picked up golf because I just watched a golf show on YouTube. I have
You're
no
getting
interest in golf.
old.
I honestly was thinking about it. I was like, dude, this would be the I don't know really many like rich people. This would be the perfect end to like make a banker friend or to make a like, befriend somebody who could actually help me in life.
Oh.
but but like or befriend some hot golf chick or some shit. I don't know who plays golf. But that's the thing. It's like women do play golf because
Mm.
I boot into this PGA Tour 2K25 and I can pick male for my career or I can pick female for my career. It's like that is excellent. Like dope. Give people the option. Like I'm sure there are women who want to hop into some PGA Tour 2K25. Like in my brain, I say that out loud, and I'm like, is that true? But I guess that has to be true.
Yeah, as of it, the thing is that what annoys me is that obviously there's going to be less of them, but that doesn't mean they
For
shouldn't
sure.
have the option. It's just baffling. Like, I'm going to
Exactly.
say something controversial here. Like, don't take this offensively, but it's like skin color in games. It just because like like they're not as well represented. Like, it doesn't mean you don't give them that choice. Like, it's
All right.
crazy. Like, why the fuck is gender? Like, why is this that taboo
Yeah.
talking point? It's just fucking madness.
It's always the funny thing to me. It's you remember the viral id whenever they said you pick the buttons that you press
Yeah.
and dude, it's so true. It's so damn true because I was thinking about that with Kingdom Come Deliverance too, where people are mad about the gay stuff. It's like, bro, my guy isn't gay.
It's with that
I'm
with
not,
every they were doing it with shadows, and it was just like, dude, you realize you're choosing to do this. So
you're
what's that
you're
saying about you?
you got the problem, brother. Well, it's not a problem. Whatever. Let me quit talking.
No, but
I-
I get where you're like. If they think that it's an issue, it's like, well, you've gotten to that fucking end point. So what does that say about you? Like
well,
you're either choosing to do it on purpose, which is more likely just to say that it has it in there and then spin that. But just like, come on, man. Because the
well,
amount
and
of
that's the
shit I've seen Ghost of Yotei's way of saying that there's stuff related to it, and I don't even think there's any of that in the game. It's just the actor that
bro.
they're choosing to pull that into, and then be like, yeah, you can do that in the game. It's just like, I don't. Can you?
So I get write this down for timestamps because spoiler.
Okay.
Um, but so for Horizon Burning Shores, everybody's if you haven't played Horizon Burning Shores or Ghost of Yotei, hop out. So for Horizon Burning Shores and or just skip ahead to the next timestamp. And for Horizon Burning Shores and Ghost of Yotei, they both had the same like viral hate campaign online about lesbianism or whatever. You don't like Horizon, you get to choose, and Ghost of Yotei is just like not in there at all. And I got spoiled on Ghost of Yotei because like they were saying at the end of the game you become a lesbian like family or whatever. You have a kid and so whatever the fuck. And I was like bummed out because I wanted to see that for myself. Like if that was going to be the story, I was like, well, damn, dude, now I got spoiled on the story.
Mm.
And then I get to the end of the game and it's like not even implied. It's just you take care of a kid and there's a woman who's standing there and she's like kind of helping. Like it's just yeah, it's crazy, man. It's and the thing that anywho, we can hop off this shit. But it is the thing that kind of bums me out about all that is because like I grew up fairly rough in terms of yeah, different times where everybody's an F word and
Mm.
everyone's an R word and like it's dude, I 0% of me like I come from the most as the jackass culture and the Eminem culture and the obscene Marilyn Manson as much possible offensive material that can possibly be inserted into a child's brain at an early age. Like I came up through all of that. That's still
the the weird thing though is that because it's time and time again because we used to with Eminem, he's not homophobic. All his stuff is just said in joke and jest.
Mhm.
And do you know that the crazy part about it is like you said you grew up, you I'm sure you sung the lyrics to the songs and stuff like that. It's almost as if some of the people genuinely believed that to be truth and have just forged their identity off of stuff like that and just project that. It's crazy because, like you said,
bro.
with like the Ghost of Yotei stuff, it didn't even happen. People just they it's delusion. It's delusion.
I've probably called 400,000 people an F word or an R word. You know who I've never called an F word or an R word? A gay person or someone with any kind of mental, you know, like it's I call my friends F words and R words. Like it's just yeah, it's totally gone way outside of what how early 2000s culture was not about at all being mean to people and hateful. It was like about being absurd, being as absurd as possible. Like whatever in the moment felt like the most ridiculous thing to do to get a laugh, to make people feel good, to be happy.
Hmm.
That was like the point. It was never the point to like put down or to no, dude, hell no. That is crazy that that's become yeah, that it's just anywho. I could go on and on about that.
Yeah, it's
What?
just the cultural pendulum has swung from one extreme because that was, don't get me wrong, that was an extreme in our time as well
Oh,
because
without a doubt, it's good that a lot of
it
that.
was pushing the boundaries in a similar way to, as an example, like South Park for comedy. Like they're always
Yes,
fucking bordering on that thing of like, how many people is this going to piss off? But it's kind of funny, kind of thing. And
and
that was
that's still
just
my favorite brand of humor. Like my favorite podcast on the planet is the most offensive podcast on the planet. Like, but it's all in jest. It's
mm,
never to actually hurt someone. You don't want to fucking hurt people. You don't want to make people feel bad. It's comedy. It's supposed to, you're uplifting. You're supposed to make people feel good. And yeah, you can make people feel good by calling your friend an R word. It's funny.
I love it.
Is it
Alrighty,
mine?
I think
Fifth one?
it's yeah, because you began, didn't you?
Yeah.
So it is
Um,
your fifth and final pick, sir.
Speaking of the old times, Anthony Scordy, I believe is his name, for Tino in Mafia: The Old Country. His performance was unbelievable.
I'm gonna need to Google his name.
I can it's Skordi and then
S K
Anthony
O.
RDI.
Okay.
Um,
He said
First name
Anthony.
Anthony, yeah.
Anthony.
Um, just a very low gravelly. When he spoke, like you listened, it was very intimidating. And he said one thing in the game that I won't spoil, but it was just like one of those. He said the quote, and chills just like
You're a good
rise through your
man,
body.
Arthur Morgan.
No, it was like a scary thing, like a thing of
Hmm.
intimidation that he says in the game, and you're just like, oh, when you hear a voice like that say some spooky shit to you, it's like, okay, let me reconsider all my options here.
It's
But
another one, man. I'm disappointed how many games I missed out as well. Fucking the
only
amount of releases.
only so many hours, only so many dollars,
Yeah.
man. I canceled my pre-order for Kirby Air Riders because I was like, listen, reviews are it sounds solid, but right now, Dying Light the Old Country just got a discount, and
Dying like the
I
old country. Oh, I'll
Dying
have to
Light the
play
Beast.
that.
It kind of is somewhat that. You got cars and stuff in there now. It's crazy. Um,
Oh, they brought them
but
back. Nice.
so I can't. All I can speak to is the trailers that I've watched.
Because they added
So
cars in the. I think there was cars in two, but there was cars in the DLC for one. You have
Okay,
a
so
little
I never
Jeep
played the
buggy.
DLC because DLCs are worded, but I I played Dying Light 1 and 2 fully. There's no cars in Dying Light 2 that you can drive unless they added it in DLC. But they did bring back guns
Hmm.
for Dying Like the Beast as well. So cars and guns are in there, and but yeah, I've only seen the trailers. I've been playing nothing but PGA Tour 2K25 for like the last 10. I can't put it down.
Filthy casual. Filthy, filthy casual.
But here's the crazy thing about that though, because you're right, it is definitely a casual game, but it's brutally difficult. It's so hard. I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong, but it's so hard. And they got like difficulty settings and stuff, so I've been, bumping it down to try to learn, but every time I try to just play on normal, I end up in like 30th place.
I had that realization as well. It's funny that you say that. I played like the original Dirt games. Played tons of racing games. I can hold my own. Dude, Dirt Rally is a fucking different beast. Ended up picking it up on sale like a few years back and was like, yeah, I could happily go for like a more realistic thing. First corner, straight off the track, 300 meters in the air, barreling, blowing the car up, and it was like, okay, well, that sucks. And I still to this day I need to like heavily tweak settings. I can't just like walk into that game. It's like a massive wake up call and a big slap across the face of like, yeah, you would never be a rally car driver. Don't think that you could ever do this.
Yeah, dude, there's so much more complexity than about all of those sports. It's the thing I always
Hmm.
say about sports where people just don't give them enough credit in general
No.
for the amount of different variabilities that are constantly, and it's like variables that are altering by the millisecond.
Mm-hmm.
It's things that you have to have instantaneous reaction speed to where, yeah, it's a lot of respect to. I mean, that's why they get paid the big bucks because, you know, I understand teachers deserve more money, this, that, and the other, but there's tens of millions of teachers, and there's one in every 100 million people can become a professional athlete. So it's, yeah, they're anomalies.
Yeah, freaks of nature. A lot of them.
Yeah.
All right, my fifth and final, dragging my feet here as I think. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna double dip. I'm gonna leave Tainted Grail. Another shout here.
Mm.
Um, and I'm split between what because I had two more Tainted Grail things. It was either gonna be best music or what was it? Where is it? Or best indie. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
best
right.
music. I don't think the game gets anywhere near enough love for its music. Like its menu music. I don't know if you've sat in that menu enough for it to kick on. It has a really strong main menu music, and then some of the impactful moments in the game has some incredible music. It has like really good free roam music as well, and sound design, and just there's yeah, it just makes you feel like it hits in the same way that I don't know if you've seen Vikings TV show, Travis Fimmel and
I
stuff like that.
I
Like
haven't watched it, but I know what you're talking about.
their themes tune is like very similar to that kind of design of what of a lot of that music and sound design is, and it's just really I don't know how like it feels grotesque and it fits um with it as well with how they've decided to portray Arthur and stuff like that in the game. I don't know how far you got into it, but the way they unveil them kind of designs and stuff like that, really cool. And just yeah, really disappointed that I don't think it got any nominations. If I'm remembering correctly at all, and it's just like I get it's like a tough year, but it had to have. It was deserving of something. It's just unfortunate that you have people who seem to only play a few things. Because like I love Expedition 33. It had like half of the best performance, right? Actors.
Yeah.
It's just like mm, they're really good actors,
Mhm.
but like, can we show love to like other things? I really feel
I
like a
agree.
two limit thing at least. Like, can't have like half a fucking nominee pool be dominated by one game. I don't care how good their performances were. That's insanity.
I certainly agree with you, Loon. Um, yeah, I especially when you did have so many other great
Mm.
performances like
It's not like
Aaron
it was a
Paul, like
weak
Tom
year.
McKay. Like,
It's not like it was
yeah,
a weak
there's
year. It's baffling.
so many, and especially once again, not to shit on Charlie Cox, but it's like I think that's a fairly easy cut out of the three, to put someone else in there. But I've seen people speculate online of like, well, they want him in there because he's going to be a big name that shows up at the Game Awards. I'm like, he ain't coming to no damn Game Awards. He will not be in that audience, man. I promise you, he won't be there.
Yeah, I could see maybe why people would argue that they've got people there before. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels sticky having so many. And also, like, I loved him as what he performed in, but like you said, he did amazing work in the short amount of time that he was on screen for. But there's plenty of other people that did full fledged games for fuck's sake, like Luke Dale and Tom McCain, that were there for the whole from start to finish. Yeah,
Aaron Paul said he worked on Dispatch for 2 years.
yeah, no, exactly. And it's just like, but what can you do there?
Yeah,
We
for
gotta
sure.
gotta pay off Keeley apparently, get in his good books, become a Kojima type person.
I would do it. Like for sure. If they wanted a panel of like, you know, uh I don't know. I don't even know how you would go about it, but if you had like 50, 25 people who because I think that's one of the bigger problems is like they should just have a select few 50 people or whatever pick the games opposed to or not even necessarily pick the games, but yeah, I don't either way, it's just too probably the way they're doing it is the best way, but then you have a problem of like you need to be reminded. There needs to be reminders for like the December stuff. There needs to be whenever something like Monster Hunter Wilds pops up in Best RPG, there needs to be a discussion of like, don't you think maybe, Tainted Grail, don't you think maybe we should Trails in the Sky, 100 Line, like do you think maybe we should throw out Monster Hunter for that or throw out Avowed for that?
I'm trying to think of because you were onto something earlier. I think what would be really cool is, but this is the thing. Like this is a complete pipe dream. This will never happen. So this is just hypotheticals. But like having an a lead up to it. So you have the Game Awards on the thing, but then you have coverage as to a bigger pool of nominees, and they sit there and argue and have that as content as to what makes the final six instead of just here's the website and it spits out a bunch of names because you don't have any context as to why is that there. If you're deep in gaming, you'll know why a lot of them names are there, but this is meant to be for a wider array of audience as well, is what they're trying to branch it out to be. So if they don't know what these are, like they need to hear about these, need to hear why they were so impactful and stuff like that. Otherwise, you get people who have these knee jerk reactions as well. Of they start running them campaigns of don't let that win when they haven't touched it. They don't know what it is. They just don't. They don't want to like it because it's just a name on a screen. It's weird.
Well, and also it's like, yeah, I I do think that there would be a benefit of having a public
Mm.
discussion about it because then say I say something really fucking stupid and then the audience weighs in on that and I'm able to see my mistake and then the next year I could hopefully grow from it and get better and like but you could actually direct your feedback to somebody opposed to a body of people. And it's like, well, who's the person that fucked up? We don't know. Who are the collective people that fucked up? We don't know. And it's like the audience can be unbelievably annoying for their favorite games. But like, there's a difference between just being annoying for your favorite games and making constructive feedback that is like, so many times I've had audience members hit me up in the comments and say something where I'm like, "Ooh, I did fuck up on that statement, and that is not true. And I need to reanalyze the way I even think about something entirely because just listening back, because so many times I say things and they'll timestamp it and be like, what do you, what is this?" I'm like, Jesus
It is
Christ, why did
different,
I?
but it is like if you're talking for an hour, you'll slip up at some point. I think the most
Mhm.
important thing as well is like I have the opinion that obviously Monster Hunter shouldn't be on that list. I'd like to know why though. Why is it on that list? What made
Yeah,
these people get to these conclusions? Because if they can make a compelling enough argument, so be it. Then it deserves to be there. If you can convince me that it is and stuff like that, rather than just it feels like it was thrown in there because they're looking around at RPGs and they're like, yeah, it's an RPG. Because that's obviously not what's happened. There has to be some fault, surely. Surely there has to be some fault, but we don't see this behind the veiled curtain and stuff like that. It's not like they just throw darts at a board, but it feels like that as the viewer and as the fan of the award things because there's no context to a pick like that. You obviously have the ones that you know are going to be locked in for certain categories, but something like that, like I wouldn't have. If we were sitting here and we made a video predicting, I wouldn't have put Monster Hunter in like the top 10, making it in there. Personally, I wouldn't. It wouldn't have even entered my mind to be like, yeah, Monster Hunter RPG. I would have picked,
it,
like you said, Trails way
yeah.
before that.
It would not have even been mentioned from my mouth of like,
Mm,
maybe when we start talking about best action game,
mm,
sure, best multiplayer, maybe, like things like that, sure, but not definitely not when we're talking RPG. But anyhow, that's just that's why we have our own awards, you know.
the better awards.
The fun awards, like it's kind of another way of looking at it, where it's just to have fun. It's just to bullshit. It's not like it's not that fucking serious. And
Sponsorship pending. Someone.
please, Jesus Christ, PGA, I'll give your game best swing and a miss for
That's
this
not going to
joke.
get you in the best performance at the end of the year, Brandon. Come on, man. He came in and did that in 4 hours. He knocked it out of the park. That's why he's on that list. There you go. There's your evidence.
That is true. If yeah, that there is something about that natural chemistry.
But yeah, that is where we'll wrap it up. Obviously, give us what you think in the comments down below, whether or not you agree with us, but also your own picks. It's always the cool thing at the end of the year when you get to the award ceremony and stuff like that, because I find it very intriguing seeing what impacted people and what just clicked. Because you can end up getting like a list of things and you'd be like, wow, I wouldn't have expected that. But it's just cool to see what games just made an impact on people. It's what makes gaming so great.
It's the thing too where at the end of the year the conversations become so whenever they're good, they're so good. Like, and they're so interesting when you have, people really like trying to champion their game and like breaking it down. Like, this is
Mm,
why it was like, oh, dude, I didn't even think about that. And yeah, I encourage people to this time of year. There's always going to be a lot of nonsense and just yelling for sure for whatever reason, but there's also a lot of really good conversation out there, and even just good tweets and stuff that you'll stumble across. Good Reddit posts, good forum discussions. Like people when people are encouraged to show their love for something, they often really come through with some great descriptions, and yeah, that's awesome.
yep, absolutely. All right, we'll wrap it up then. Obviously, check out the description. Brandon's channel will be linked. There's awesome stuff over there. Can't remember what's the next thing we're doing.
Well, if you want to hop on, we'll do PS5 Series X review right now. If it's late as hell your time though, ain't it? It's like 10 o'clock.
I don't think it'll take that long to knock that out.
30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, we could do it. So there you go. Go over there and you can check out content like that. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next one.
Goodbye.